Okay, YouTube viewers. So next we're going to work on the bar tape. And one thing I wanted to show you first was I cleaned this hood, this brake lever hood up with a Clorox wipe. And I don't know if you can see how clean it is, but if you look at this one, it's much dirtier. And so what I did is just started rubbing it and cleaning it up. And the Clorox wipe does a pretty good job. So something I don't like about white bar tape and white hoods is they get dirty real easy. But I'm going to stick with the white hoods and the white bar tape because it does look good on the bike, so we'll go with it. Okay, so you can see I've cleaned it up. It looks pretty good compared to that one. They're about the same, about as best I can get, so that's something to keep in mind. Clorox wipes will do a good job on that. So the next thing I want to focus on is the bar tape. So this one's wrapped a unique way. It's wrapped from the top down, okay? And what that allows is you don't have to use tape up here. Now that's nice for that purpose because you wrap it all the way down to the end and then you just plug the stop in and it holds everything in place. There's no tape anywhere. It's a tidy look. I've seen pro bikes, they've wrapped their bar tapes that way. But the problem you run into is this right here. You see how it's separated? And what that's from is people ride and they push their hands and it just, because the seam is on this side, you know, there's a seam there, and so your hands catch it and tend to push it. And so I always wrap from the bottom up. And what that does is, of course, you have to put tape here to hold it, but when you push your hands like this, it rides over top. Seams are on this side, and so you tend to just ride over it and it doesn't get pushed down. Now if you're okay with changing your bar tape like every couple of years or every year, then, you know, by all means wrap it this way. It's a clean look, it looks great. But for me, I wrap from the bottom up and then I use tape right here. And I find that that'll last anywhere from 5 to 8 years, and then usually by then you're wanting to put some new bar tape on anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is peel the hoods back. They just peel up like this. And just get them out of your way. Okay, like that. Do the same thing on this side. They just peel right back. It doesn't hurt them any. And just get them out of your way. Then you need to take the end cap out. So I just straight blade screwdriver or something will work just fine. Some of them have a hex key or Allen key wrench right there, but you just pop that out and then you just break it loose, and there we go. And so now we just do the unpeeling process. Oops. And you're going to run into this if it's tape's been on a long time, is it'll start tearing. But just, you know, be patient and work it. It'll come off. So we've removed the old bar tape, and I just ball it up like that. And then what we're left with is the bare bar, but it's sticky from all the adhesive. So go back to your Clorox wipe and just wipe it down. Now I know people, something that works really good is acetone, but it's kind of a harsh chemical. I'm not really into dealing with all the harsh chemicals. So I find that the Clorox wipe, which has probably got some pretty serious chemicals on it, but is easier to deal with. Just get all the adhesive off. I mean, this can take a while. Sometimes it's really glopped on there. This one's not too bad, so I'm just going to go ahead and wipe it down, get it all cleaned up. You'll notice that they used electrician's tape just to hold the brake cable in line there. I'm just going to leave that there. It's in good shape. If it's kind of frayed or anything, you can undo it and tape it. It just makes it easier when you're doing the new bar tape. Alright, so I'll clean these up. I'll pull the tape off the other side and clean that one up, and then we'll get back to putting the bar tape on. Okay, so I've got the new bar tape. It's Cannondale Microfiber Plus. And one thing I noticed on this pack, this is right. So the other one's labeled left, so this one goes on the right side of the bike. I believe that's because there's the logo there and they want to make sure the logo is on the outside. I don't think it's for any other reason. So the bar tape comes wrapped like this. There's a layer of plastic around the outside edge. This kind of holds it in place. Just pull it off. Okay. Now what I've done is I put a towel on the floor because I tend to just let it flop. I don't know any other way to do it. If you sit here and try to hold it while you're wrapping it around, it just gets too much. So I just let it fall. So the back side, there's an adhesive tape, and that's the sticky bit. So I start here on the bottom, and because normally you don't spend a whole lot of time in the drops unless you're racing a lot, the vast majority of riders spend their time up here and on the hoods when they ride. So I wrap it fairly thin down through here, and then when I get up here I wrap it a little thicker to give a little bit more cushion. Alright, so we're going to start, and the other thing is you go ahead and you wrap it counterclockwise on the right side and clockwise on the left side. So you're always wrapping it in from the outside in as you go up. And you want to start at kind of an angle, so you leave a bit hanging over like that, and you put it on at an angle so that when you come around you kind of see, okay, where am I reaching over? And if you don't get it quite right, it peels off real easy initially, so you can kind of reset it, rework it, get it just right, put a little tension on it. You know, you want it to be on there fairly good, fairly tight on the bar. Okay, so I've got it started, and I've left the overhang. Actually, I should probably leave a little bit more overhang for the plug that goes in the end here. And I like these because they got the little hex head. The first wrap's always the hardest, but you want to have enough to see where I'm going to stuff all this in. I may have to actually trim some of this, but you want to have enough to fold in all the way around so you can push the plug in and it'll hold in place tight. Alright, so now I've got it started. So keep it tight as you're going around. The other thing is make sure your hands are clean. You're putting on clean bar tape. Don't do it with greasy hands because it just makes a mess of things. Alright, so it's a tedious process. A lot of people don't like doing it. If you want to pay somebody to do it, hey, I'm not going to fault you. It definitely has its set of challenges, but you can do it. You just got to work it, and just try to remember to keep it tensioned good. Alright, so here's the microfiber bit now. Okay, so I've gotten it up, wrapped fairly good up here to the brake hood, and so you want to come really close, and it's going to kind of pinch under the brake hood there. You see that? See how I got it under there? And then you'll go around, you come around the other side, and you'll go over top. Okay, it's a little awkward, and you've got to stretch it really tight to get a good fit, but once you get past it, it works pretty good. So this one I've gotten really tight. Alright, so you see how that is. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this back down so you can see the outcome. Alright, so that's how it's going to look. So it's nice and clean. You can see a little bit of a seam there and a little bit on the inside here. Okay, so I've got it pretty much done on this side. I just want to point out a couple of things. Like I said, I keep it more distance here and then tighter up here, but you want to make sure that obviously it's really tight in here and it's wider here because you're going around a bend, but I keep it fairly close, and you want to kind of be consistent on the distance there. You know, you don't want to have wide gaps and then narrow gaps and wide. I mean, these are narrow, but they're all consistently narrow and then slightly get wider. Okay, so I've come to the end, and they've kind of cheated me on my microfiber. There's none here. So I need to go ahead and cut this, and on the handlebar here, there's a divot. Okay, so the bar is wider here and then dips down, and that's where I like to put my bar tape there. So what I've got to do is this last wrap, I've got it just where I want it, and then I need to cut because I want to put the tape right through here. Alright, but I got to be careful because I don't want to, you know, cut it off square, because then there'll be this gap behind here. So you need a sharp pair of scissors, and you need to cut it at an angle. Alright, and this takes a little bit of patience, a little bit of time, where it's going to end up, and then you just go ahead and cut it. Make sure that that's where it's going to lay. Yeah, that's where I want it. And so I've got to cut all the way through here, all the way to there. It's kind of tricky. It's hard to do. You definitely can make some mistakes with it. You will want to err on the side of not cutting enough. Alright, so there's, you can see there it is. It's kind of like an angle, but the goal is so when I do this last wrap, it ends up kind of square, so in a spot where when I wrap the tape, it's going to be all in the same spot. And I think I can probably cut this end bit off. There we go. Alright, so they've supplied me with Cannondale logo tape. And so what you want to do is make sure, okay, this is about where I want it here. You want to get it, give it a good wrap around and make sure, is this exactly where I want this? So here we go. Wish me luck. Peel it. So you just peel the back off. Oh, I tore it. Alright, so now we're live. So this is where it matters. This is good tape, and you pull this pretty tight too, because this is what's going to hold the end. And so you want it to be nice and tight around everything. No chances of this stuff coming free. This is good latex tape. I can feel it. It stretches really well. Alright. Go around one more time here. Give it a nice tight pull. And of course it ends up kind of not where I want it to be. Right there. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just trim it back so it ends up on the bottom. Normally they don't give you enough. This is a good tape. It's a Cannondale brand. I'm impressed. So I'm going to just cut that last bit off because I don't really need it. And then just want to make sure you get that last bit on really good. Okay. Now we got to put the plug in, and of course it's going to go way in there. I could try to stuff all this in, but it's not going to work very good, so I'm going to cut a little bit of the excess off. And again, here you got to be careful. It's good to cut a little bit first and then stretch it and see where you've got. The end on the other side I did get on, but it took me a lot longer to do. And so I decided to show you this one. A little practice, you get better. Alright, so what I find is try to get part of it started. Try to get the top part in as best you can. Get that started in. And then just, you may have to use a bit of force. I think I've got it. This was definitely more challenging than I'd hoped for. And if you need to, you can use a little pick tool to kind of go around and just make sure that everything's in before you tighten it up. So then I just take my Hex wrench, or Allen wrench as I call them, and tighten up the plug. So the next thing for this bike now is to change out the tires in the saddle. There you go. Bar tape, looking pretty good. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll look them over and get back to you on any questions you have. Thanks for watching.